D-A-D. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. Today, we have the annual Dad Pod, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Dadication as we get ready for Father's Day. And we will have those important discussions right after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by the 79th Faulkner Bible Lectureship, Sunday, October 22nd through Thursday, October 26th on the campus of Faulkner University in Montgomery, Alabama. This year's theme is Reconnect. The Jenkins Institute's Better series will be a part of the program in 2023, along with sessions geared towards youth and family ministry. There will be daily chapel programs and evening keynotes to encourage and equip you in your walk with Christ. The mission of Faulkner University is to glorify God through education of the whole person, emphasizing integrity of character in a caring Christian environment where every individual matters every day. For more information, go to faulkner.edu or click the link in the description of this episode. I'm Travis Creasy. That's All Pro Counselor Ben Hayes.
What is happening, man? I'm missing you. We spent all this time in Alaska, and now I haven't seen you in a few days, and I'm just, missing that one-on-one time with Travis Creasy.
Well, it's easy to miss. Now that I'm 4,100 miles in the other direction, now I'm on the beach hanging out, got the snacks. I'm roasted, toasted from slinging my kids around a pool and chasing them down the beach all day. And, it's tough work, but it's nice if you can get it,
That somebody's got to do it. And I was with you guys on that trip last year, and I'm kind of missing it this year too. So
I'm going to try my best not to rub it into your face too much.
It's okay.
But it is good to be down here, and we are missing you. Doing a little putt-putt, a little bit of change in the weather, a little warmer out, little switcheroo.
I bet Whitney is liking that a little bit.
Oh,
better.
yes, she prefers the warmer weather. But as mentioned, I said we would talk a little bit about Father's Day coming up, Dadication. Gas up the dads out there, because let's just be honest, this is your day. And we're just going to take it here at the Helping Healing Humor. We're going to make it your week. So getting ready on this Tuesday, cranked up for a good old Dad Day. And so we're going to have our second annual Dad Pod Arama. And so when we talk about Dadication, I think that's something that we just, obviously we're speaking in generalities. There are tons of people out there that dad may be the picture that may not be. Somebody else may be playing the dad role, stepdads, any of that. But I feel like as a dad, I'm kind of trying to teach my kids a little level of dedication. And so you take that and mix it with dad, and it's Dadication. And so I want my kids to finish things. I want my kids to do things that are tough, that are difficult, to show that they can kind of overcome that. And the funny thing is Haley is much more hard-headed about getting the thing done and finishing it than Daniel. Not that Daniel doesn't finish things. Haley's just over the top, like a little more grit to her.
Well, we all know that you've got some of that in your blood. A little thing that we like to call Twin Peaks up in Alaska proved that to the world, and we talked about that a week ago. But Travis wants to finish things and wants to show that dedication. And just from having been around Travis all of his life, literally, loyalty is a big thing, always been a big thing to Travis. And, being loyal, being dedicated to whatever you start, you finish, and always appreciated that about you. Same thing when it comes to you as a parent. That's something that you've always been absolutely dedicated to. We are going to finish. We are going to do this thing. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. And, I think we talked about kind of before we started the pod, we were talking about how on Mother's Day, moms get ultimate praise and, lifting up, and dads, every year I get somebody going, So are you going to praise the moms today and then bash us in a couple of weeks? And I really try not to do that. I try not to be the dad basher preacher, more the uplifting end of it, because I too am a dad. Compared to most moms, we probably do fall short sometimes. But I mean, they just tend to be able to run circles around some of the aspects of being a parent. But I've been seeing some commercials lately and some, hearing these things and, just talking about being the present, and you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything right. I think some dads maybe have failed in the past because they were afraid that they would not be perfect. Therefore, they didn't. It's kind of like the parable of the talent or the talents. Here's this guy who goes, I was afraid I'd mess it all up, so I didn't even try. Well, the reality is just being present and being there, even if you mess up. I mess up pretty much on a daily basis. Say something wrong, say something that I wish I hadn't, not be in at something or in some way involved, and just miss opportunities sometimes. But that's one thing I have tried to always be is present, not just with my kids in general, but with each one of them. Some people are blessed with one or two or three. I happen to be blessed with five, and that's a little more complicated to be present with each one and kind of try to be individually involved. But I know there's a lot of dads out there. I love seeing dads that do that, that know their kids, are involved with their kids, are so, dedicated to their individual personalities. And I've got friends who just have all these cool little traditions that they have with their kids. And, it's always cool to see the different ways that dads get creative with that.
Yeah, I'd be going back to the finish what you start. When you finally get to the point, dads are kind of limitation enforcers, but also kind of the wait and see of the bunch. Like, well, let's let them go out here and kind of try their hand at it, and if they fail miserably, we'll love them anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a wait and see. Today we went on a dolphin thing, and I was kind of more laid back, letting them move around the boat. And same thing at the pool. They've got
They
floated
got life
devices on,
jackets.
and I'm like, let them go. And it's like, they're down there, right? And I was like, I know they're down there. If it gets real quiet, I'll know something's not right. They're down there making noises and whatnot. But yeah, I think the present thing helps you guide them through the things that they need to not quit, and then also reminding them when they're licked, like, hey, it's probably time to kind of give it up. And if you need criticism, I don't think that all harsh criticism is necessarily negative criticism, just because it's a little harsh. And I'm not saying mamas don't get in on this act either, but that's kind of the parental role. Like, we're going to correct you, we're going to criticize you, and hopefully a way that teaches you A, to take criticism, but B, also realize that not all criticism is bad. And going back to the holiday thing, Ben, I think dads would just be happy if there were none. If there was no holiday for Father's Day, and then we just call
Yeah,
it equally, and there won't be one for Mother's Day, and then there's
exactly.
less to remember. So maybe the best gift that you can give your dad for Father's Day is to be like, it's not a big deal if you don't remember all of these dates. We just need to remember the most important ones, like her birthday and
That's right.
like anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, and I love the passage in First Timothy that just talks about how Paul said, "I tried to be like your dad. I was like a father to you." And the things that he talks about are positive things. Paul doesn't go, "I try to be like a father to you. I was a real jerk." It wasn't anything like that. It was, he says, I was teaching. I was trying to teach you. I was trying to exhort you or encourage you, push you a little bit, give you that, little boost that you needed. I was comforting you. I mean, there was things that he was, I think there was four words he uses there that, all of them are really, really positive kind of phrases that I wanted you to go in the right direction. Sometimes I corrected you, sometimes I encouraged you, sometimes I, pushed you a little bit to try to get you over that edge. Sometimes I was instructing or teaching you. But, Paul was saying, here's what dads are supposed to do, and here's what dads do well. I think sometimes uh, the fun part of being a dad is those little times that you get to kind of pick at your kids a little bit. And I'm a firm believer in healthy, playing around and picking. And you and I probably did a whole lot of wrestling and fighting with each other and picking at each other through the years, and it probably helped us survive a lot of things through that time. And I think that was, I wrestle with my kids, but I also, have a healthy little bit of jabbing them. You probably experienced that a little bit with Jackson on the trip last week, and he's learned to jab back, which is good, I guess.
Yep. There's an aspect of it that is quite interesting, and as camp gets ready to approach, um, Daniel will be going for the first time. As long as I guess it's okay, he stays in the director's hut with me like Haley did last year. But that's kind of fun, to have the camp thing and him get to experience that. Haley experienced it, want to go back. But thinking of things that are simple to get that are gifts, I think that sometimes as guys, just like the ladies, I mean, it's not that different. We just sometimes need some alone time to think things through. And that can be different ways. I'm not a hunter. You're a hunter. You like being out in the woods and kind of being alone with your thoughts. I kind of do that on the lawnmower, or I play video games, or, so sometimes a simple gift for Father's Day is just, hey, here's an hour where you just can sit and veg and not do anything on that Sunday or whatever. Or, maybe they do love cutting grass, or maybe they like to run. And if they like to run, then they need to register for the Batify Freedom 5K, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's
register
the
your
gift.
man for it.
Register them for that.
Yeah. Or maybe
Encourage
they
them.
like to play dodgeball with their friends.
Yes.
And, it's a perfect time to register their team.
And that registration is open, right? We got
Yeah.
registration for both, and you could gift your husband a registration for a full team for dodgeball, or run the 5K, or both.
Boom.
Or
And give back to St. Jude at the same time.
exactly, or sponsor. It could be the Josh Thorne headshot. You could name every dodgeball headshot in honor of your husband or your
There you go.
father or whatever, who would get the most out of it, whatever. And so it's things
Yeah.
like that sometimes that are pretty cool. A neckie's fine, but I try to avoid those these days as much as I can.
As
A gift
much as
card to
possible.
go eat somewhere,
Yep.
a massage. Ben, would you take a massage if somebody bought you one?
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be great. And I was thinking something even, you were saying that you like to have that hour to yourself. I think just going, hey, I mean, honestly, it doesn't even have to be something you buy. You go, hey, I want you to go Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, go hang out with your friends. Y'all go to Top Golf, or you go to go bowling. I don't know if anybody bowls much anymore. Some people listening maybe do, but just some of the things that you might want to go just have a night out. Like, we have a lot of ladies' nights out at church, and we have a lot of like ladies' days, but we probably should have a little bit more men's days. And men's nights that they go and do some things. And I think it's great. I'm not bashing ladies' nights, because a lot of times, it is good for us to sit in and let them kind of have a night off, because they probably don't get as many nights off from the kids as we do. But also important to have those times where you spend with some other guys. So I think things like that, gift cards, to sporting goods stores, whether that's Academy or Dick's or wherever that is, those sorts of things are always great, because you've always, if you're playing golf with Travis, you lose golf balls. So
You're going to lose golf balls, and you're going to feel really good about yourself in comparison. Putt putt, pay for them to go putt putt.
hey,
Putt putt's
hey,
fun.
there you go.
Any of that stuff can be a blast. I know we have the Trash Pandas in the area. I would love tickets to Trash Pandas game with some buddies. I went with Highland Park. We literally set the place on fire, and it was awesome.
The
It's a
parking
great
lot
story.
freeze.
It's a great story. There's hockey in Huntsville if you're in
Yep.
North Alabama, any stuff like that. But yeah, I think anytime, like you said, you don't even have to really spend money. But if it was just, hey, here's an hour today where we're going to do whatever you want to do. And if that's you get away from the rest of us, party on, Wayne. I think that works perfectly. Um,
If you're Reagan Holloman, you could get Blake tickets to Taylor Swift.
yeah,
You know,
you can go all in.
I
If you're
think they
rolling in the dough,
might
you
have
could do
already done
something like
that, but
that.
something.
So Ben, tell me a moment where it didn't have to be for your kids. I'm thinking of one. We probably shared it on the podcast before, but you've seen these videos where the kid is heading towards imminent danger, and the dad like turns into like Spider-Man and like saves the kid or keeps it from wrecking or whatever. You got one of those moments where you just kind of had the reflexes, cat-like speed in reflexes to save one of your kids or a youth group member or something where you kind of surprised yourself a little bit? Anything like that you can share with us?
Yeah, I know there's been times. I'm not sure that that I'm thinking of them in the moment. There's probably been some times on the church bus where I've grabbed someone as the driver is hitting the brakes, and I have, saved them from, flying down the aisle some way, because we probably weren't riding very safe at that moment. But man, I don't know that there's any that just pop right to me. I'm sure, like, laying in bed tonight, I'll think of one. Probably the most like reflex, that most proud moment didn't have to do with my kids completely, but they were chasing our dog through the neighborhood because she's a husky and she likes to run. And if she ever gets out of the gate, it's off to the races. And so they'd been like making circles. And I just, in my mind, I was like, I know where she's at. Like, I know exactly where she went. She went to the park because there's squirrels there. And so I took off like straight through the neighbor's yard to that park. And when I got there, the kids were kind of like, they had found her and were chasing her. And she ran right at me. And I was like, okay, this is either one of those moments where she jumps in my arms, or most likely it's one of those moments where she's going to fake me out and try to blow by me, like, oh, look, I'm coming to you, psych, and go around, which is exactly what she did. And so as she gets right at me, she goes to dodge me. And of course, she's a very furry husky, like very fluffy. And so they had taken her collar off for some reason. So she's got nothing to grab a hold of except very furry body. So as she goes by me, I just go to a knee, clutch down as hard as I can on her fur, and it sticks. And I just wrapped, it's like slung her around and put her on the ground, wrapped the thing around her, and walked her back to the house. And the kids were like, that was the coolest thing ever, because it was one of those moments where I almost form tackled a husky, and she was flying, and I just got lucky and got her down. So it was just one of those reflex moments where it wasn't saving a child, but who knows, it might have saved my dog from being hit by a car.
Yes. I'm thinking of a Ben Hayes moment where you grabbed that girl from falling out of the whitewater rafting
We did do that. That is
device.
true. Yeah. Yeah. So we've had some moments.
Snatched her out of there.
I forgot about that. Yeah. She flew out onto the rock, and we just grabbed her and threw her back in.
That was money. That was money.
Except the problem was that my wife also fell out at that same moment. She was at that time my girlfriend, and I didn't do that to her. I grabbed the girl that had flew out, and my wife was out of my reach in my defense, but it still probably didn't bode well that I saved the kid and didn't save my wife, and she
Yeah,
had her
you're
knocked
proud,
out.
but I will say, your wife is one of the toughest human beings on the planet. So
It's
that
true.
probably ran through your mind like she can handle
She can
herself,
handle it.
right? I
My
don't know if that
understanding
gives her
is
much solace, but
that her back and her rear end were about the color of these pillows right here when she got done, and that we, like I said, we were dating at the time, but the reports were that she was not that she was pretty banged up and bruised up. So
well, my
she survived.
story, I'm going to go ahead and go with you here. I'm not going to do one for my own kids, although I'm sure they are out there. Usually, my kids, I'm saving them from doing something they shouldn't be doing, climbing the wall on the Santa Claus train or whatever. And like, and it was from a lack of supervision that he got in that situation, anyways. But when I was at North Broad, we would get together for like these man days. I was doing Wild at Heart at the time. So we'd get together, read some Wild at Heart, and then we'd come up with these games that were way more difficult and physical than they had to be. And so it was like tackle, capture the flag is what we were doing. And we even had like balls and plastic bats and stuff as weapons. So this sounds really good. It would fly totally today. No problem. Sounds like something they would do in Alaska.
Sure, yeah, that was pretty
And this
rough.
kid, his name was Bags, and he threw a football at me, and I like grabbed it with my right hand, like one handed it behind my back, and came up. And maybe I barehanded it left because I did throw it. Maybe it was left around my back to my right hand and threw it back at him and hit him right in the nose, which did not make him happy in the least.
For
And
sure not.
so he picks up this big red, like elementary bat and starts swinging it at my head. And I am laughing so hard, which is not helping the situation as he misses my head barely. But that's probably my most Spider-Man spidey sense moment in my entire life. I couldn't do that again if I tried. So
Those dad powers, man. And
dad power, youth ministry power, all that stuff.
what's a great dad moment from this year so far? Like, what's something that you're like, hey,
Probably leaving my kids
done it
for a week
right?
and a half at someone else's house while I went to Alaska. No,
You're making up for it. You're at the beach with them now. So.
yes, I would say I have put in the pool hours with the kids this week, and the water's been really cold, and so it takes
Mhm,
me forever to get like where I'm just ready to go
mhm.
in all in. But then when I'm in, I'm catching kids, I'm racing kids, we're playing tag. It's just been a blast. They kind of got to that age where they're adventuring more and want to play games, and that's what I'm here for, bro.
Oh
What
yeah,
about you?
it's a good fun. It's a good fun time. I think the trip to Alaska was a good thing. You get. I look back on a lot of times, and people warn you. They tell you, from the time you have a baby, they're like, they grow up really fast, and they start telling you things like that, and you're like, yeah, yeah, I know they do, and then it's like, it really does. Like I look back and go, where on earth did that time go?
Yeah.
And so Jackson graduated. Kenya and I have talked a few times since I got back. Like she's pretty jealous about some of the things that we saw and got to do. And, she's like, I was thinking to myself, why did I let him go? But she's also very thankful that we had the time. But I think, it was just one of those really good weeks. I'm not saying we were always perfectly in sync with each other, but we had a lot of time to talk. We got a lot of time to hang out. There was the day that we got to kind of drive on our own. Well, a couple of days ended up that we kind of had on our own. And I've not seen him get as excited about certain things. I don't know that I've ever seen him take that many pictures with his phone or with a camera in my life. But as you know, there was just a lot to take pictures of. And so
Yes.
he was fired up about that. He was smiling in pictures. I just think that was probably one of those like, okay, that was a good choice to do that and to go have some of that special time because as they grow, you don't get it as often. So
So soak it up, people. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by the 2023 Heritage event on Saturday, August 26th, featuring an incredible night of music from the frontmen of Country, the Secret Sisters, and Cadence Baker. General admission tickets and table sponsorships are available for purchase. For more information, visit www.hcu.edu. The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. HCU produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. HCU is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and is an associate member of the Association of Theological Schools. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt. For the fall 2023 semester, HCU is offering full tuition scholarships for graduate-level students. For more information about Heritage Christian University or the annual Heritage event, visit www.hcu.edu.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, Ben.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To get to the idiot's house.
Okay.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Chicken.
The most accurate knock-knock joke of all time.
It's true.
But you know, you guys probably think I am an idiot because you always thought I would never get over my Phil Collins obsession. But you should take a look at me now.
That's awful. Awful. All right. Well, we have some other ones, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Dad Pod. And what Dad Pod is there? What Dadication is there if there aren't a few terrible, awful, but also wonderful dad jokes? And so we've got an all-star lineup of dads who are going to tell you a little dad joke action, and we're going to have Lonnie Jones, who really needs no introduction, but you should obviously go check out everything Lonnie does because it's all amazing, and including his wonderful podcast, the
Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.
And it is an adventure.
It is amazing.
And then we've got Ray Reynolds, who is in all kinds of things, works down at Summerdale. He's doing the Get to Know Your Bible podcast.
Reynolds rap. That's a dad joke in itself,
yes.
sort of.
Oh, yeah.
Spinning off the words Reynolds rap.
He's
so
money. He's money. And then you got Chris Moran, newly minted North Alabama Christian Children's Home. Did I say all that right?
Yeah. That's right.
Newly minted director there, which is awesome. We have the Heritage Christian University Vice President, Travis Harmon's going to be sharing a joke with us. And then we have Trey Morgan, who has joined the podcast before, from the Stronger Marriage podcast with Trey and Lee. And then, of course, the Dale Jenkins of the Jenkins Institute. So we'll get right to those dad jokes. Hope you enjoy.
In a study of the most religious people in the world, they were trying to find a genetic link to spirituality. So they exhumed the body of Gandhi. And after they exhumed the body of Gandhi, they discovered several things. One was that his diet of being a vegetarian made his tiny little bones, and he had a really slight frame, but they realized that his bones were really, really brittle. They also discovered that based on the diet of the specific herbs and things that he ate, that he probably had a perpetual cause of a case of bad breath. And then they looked at his kneecaps, and his kneecaps were deformed because he'd spent so much time kneeling in prayer and kneeling in meditation that he had these massive, massive calluses. So the report basically, it could be summarized with, he was a super fragile callus mystic hexed with halitosis.
Hey, Ray Reynolds here from Summerdale, Alabama. I was asked to give you a couple dad jokes. I'm going to tell you my favorite dad joke, and then I'll tell you my favorite dad knock-knock joke. Favorite dad joke is, when I was a kid, I was really sick, and I asked my dad, could you make me some soup? And he said, sure, but I don't think you can fit in the pot. Anyway, my favorite knock-knock joke, dad knock-knock joke is knock-knock, who's there? Dwayne. Dwayne who? Dwayne the bathtub, I'm drowning. Have a good Father's Day, everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Moran from Florence, Alabama. What did the horse say when it tripped and fell on the ground? Somebody help! I have fallen and I can't giddy up! Have a great day. Happy Father's Day.
Where does the general keep his armies? In his sleeveys, of course. There's 2 goldfish in a tank. One of the goldfish looks over at the other one and says, "You man the guns, I'll drive."
What do you call a wet bear? A drizzly bear. Dog walks into a saloon. The barkeep says, "What can I do for you?" The dog says, "I'm looking for the man that shot my paw."
I put maple syrup on my shopping list. Now it's all sticky. I don't usually tell dad jokes, but when I do, he laughs.
From
That's right.
Ben and Travis, the Helping Healing Humor podcast, we wish all of you who honor the day of Father's Day a wonderful Father's Day. We know there are people out there playing that role that aren't necessarily consider themselves dads, or they're filling in, coaches, moms who are having to be both. Happy Father's Day from us to you, and we hope it's a great day, and we'll talk at you again real soon.
The Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis is brought to you by Freedom 5K on July the 8th. We will be running it in the Shoals area, and all proceeds go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I hate to see children suffer. I used to avoid St. Jude commercials because I just couldn't bear to see the images of kids fighting for their life against a dreaded disease. Then one day we got the call. Several weeks before, doctors in Huntsville had performed surgery on my son to remove a small tumor on his face. The call was from St. Jude. The doctors in Memphis wanted to take more margin around the tumor and run more tests. Within days, we were walking the halls and pulling cypress in the famous Little Red Wagons. I had to see the kids, a lot of them, some in wheelchairs, many missing hair as a result of their treatments, people from all over the world and all different backgrounds. All came for one reason, hope. Hope that they would be able to find a cure. It's that hope that gets me to run even when I don't feel like it. I run not for me, but for the young ones. I run to give them hope. Thankfully, my son is doing well. He bears the mark of St. Jude on his left cheek in the form of a scar. But it's a reminder to me of the fight that other kids are still fighting every day. The Freedom 5K on July 8th is just one more way to raise money for St. Jude. If you can run, then we hope that you will sign up. If you would like to sponsor, you can do that too. For more information or to register, go to benandtravis.com/store. That's benandtravis.com/store. Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.